without further ado, greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and this is Rogue Broadcast, Episode 1, where I have Apothne, which is one of the most know-it-all digging deep of all of EVE Online, and we are going to unironically talk about the various this week, the news, the culture, the Reddit posts, the shit posts, the wars, whatever's been going on this week. We want to highlight those things, and then also perhaps maybe even equip you with some of the things that are going on this weekend. And
you might say we're a show about the meta.
We're almost a show about the meta, but I don't know if that's really a good. Maybe
that's probably a really crappy name for a show.
Yeah, why would you ever name a show that? That just sounds so unoriginal. We'll have to come up with something. Well, Rogue
I'm
Broadcast,
here for the spaceship meta, not the meta of overinflated egos bludgeoning each other on social media.
All right. So moving right along, I've got a few articles that I picked out from Crossing Zebras or Zebras. And we've got some posts from Reddit. And then also, obviously, we've had some good YouTube videos and some good content creators that we want.
Whenever you bring one of them up, can you send it to me on Discord so I can know what you're talking about?
Sure. Yeah, totally.
Awesome.
Okay, so first of all, let's see. Well, how's your week been?
Stressful as fuck.
Yeah?
But I did do some spaceship things, which is far more interesting. On Sunday, which is kind of this week, if we're going to Friday, we had an episode of Eve Nerds Play D&D, which we hadn't done in quite a while, like 2 months or something. And before that, we did the EVE-NT, I want to say Minor League second week, which had some really fucking awesome games. Like, it was so good. Like, not just I'm contractually obliged, like, genuinely these games were intense and amazing. Like, really awesome tournament play.
That's actually an interesting question. Would you say, given somebody who's done commentary of EVE over the years and kind of paying attention to the tournament scene over a long period of time, would you say that EVE is now a better or worse tournament game than it was in previous years?
In terms of the game and mechanics and EVE itself, it's pretty much the same.
Okay.
However, I think that the production team and the commentators, the UI, and a lot of the tools we have to do with have really upped the game. So I think that fundamentally the software of EVE Online that you install in your computer is about as relevant for tournament play as it used to be, but the way we do EVE Sports has massively improved, both in the rule sets and format we create and the production we have around it. The only exception to that is the existence of the Thunderdome, which is the best thing in the EVE tournament scene since EVE tournament started.
Okay, so give the 2-minute description of what the Thunderdome is.
So EVE is all on tranquility is the idea, right? Everyone's on a single server. There's only one server. That's kind of a lie. We also have Serenity, which is a server for all the Chinese nerds. We have Singularity, that's what it's called, which is a test server that put the next patch on for us to try and break so they can fix it when it comes out. And they also have Duality, which is kind of like Singularity, but even more hush-hush top secret.
Yeah, Duality is like if they're wanting to test something on the server architecture itself. Like Singularity is usually always up and usually has whatever fancy new thing that they want us to try out. Duality is brought up when they want to like test something.
They really want to fuck with something.
Yeah, like that's just like, this is a server that's being used only for this test. Like when they were trying Brain in the Box. I think that was really why they started using Duality more.
Yeah, that means that players can always use Singularity. It might not be 100% stable. It may have a few bugs because it's on the newest patch, but it'll always be up. Duality is they're just gonna fucking do some shit, and like we're gonna see what happens. What's the rule on swearing? Is this a PG-13 show, or can I swear?
There's no way that I'm gonna allow myself to not swear at all. Just, you know.
Okay. Great.
We do have some people with kids around, including myself.
Oh,
So
okay.
as much as we can, don't be like,
Don't
F
overdo
words as commas or anything.
Okay. So we now have one called Thunderdome, which was created and put forward really by CCP Logibro, who we are eternally thankful to in the tournament community, which is a server which has the banning tool and the tournament tool available to selected players for the different teams. You can log on there and give yourself all the skill points in the world, so you can fly everything perfectly. You get the dev tools to generate items. Like, I can go on there now and spawn 200 marauders in a line of text in local chat.
Anybody can go onto this server.
I'm not 100% sure about that. To the best of my knowledge, during the Alliance tournament, what happened is that all the team captains had to give their pilot names to Logibro, who would approve them all.
Right.
And then the captains and like one or two other people from each team would get access to the referee tools.
So to put it another way, at the very least, there is like an Eve creative mode.
Yeah.
And
so like and when we run
yeah.
Eve NT, we can go, hey, CCP, we're running a tournament. They'll be, okay, here's everyone who's in your tournament and all the referees, the appropriate level access and accounts and abilities to run all this shit in the tournament tool with everything you need.
Sure, and it makes sense
instead
that
of having to run it on like Singularity or even on Tranquility, where the tournament can be made invalid by somebody just hot dropping your tournament,
right.
Or you don't have a tool to check for illegal implants and all that kind of stuff. It really makes running it as tournament admin so much better.
Well,
it's so much better.
It really fixes the dojo problem, as I call it. A few years back, there was a dev whose name I can't remember right now.
CCP Veritas.
Thank you. I was about to say it's not. He deserves to be remembered. This dude.
No, he was a great dev.
Was a legend. He did so many good things. I think he did tie-dye, didn't he?
He basically, if Tranquility had a heart attack, Veritas is the man you call.
Yeah.
Like,
so anyway,
like like if anything goes wrong, you call him at 3 a.m. and he's there in his pants in a cowboy hat.
Yeah.
For some reason he has a coding cowboy hat. Don't ask. But then magic happens, and then like your code works.
But
like
he loved the tournament, right? So he built a lot of the tools that we now use.
He built the tournament tool. The entire tournament tool was basically a hack to EVE Online that he made at like 2 a.m. whilst drinking whiskey.
Yep.
Like, that is the old school tournament tool.
Yep.
Which the new tournament tool is kind of
at least modeled
based.
Off of.
Like, yeah.
So, so he's legit, right? Anywho,
he works at Riot now. He's Riot Veritas, and to the point where, you know how CCP do like dev blogs, and that's kind of not really what other game company do. He started doing Riot dev blogs, and it's hilarious.
Nice. I have no idea what I'm supposed to be doing in this fucking mission right now. I'm supposed to be delivering antibiotics. God damn it! Hold on. I'm just like, it's a mission. Go there, shoot until there's nothing to shoot, loot something that looks like a box, and crap, that didn't work. What do I do? At any rate, so as a parting gift, what he worked on was this concept called the dojo, which was the idea that you could like deploy a thing, and within that sphere, it was actually a tournament, and you could like run, you could impose tournament rules within that sphere. And people hated it. Absolutely hated it. Hold on, let me moderate you. How do I mod?
It's fine. I'll send you a thing. This is how to explain CCP Veritas to people. You can run it on stream. It's like 1 minute long.
Where is it? Where is it?
I send it to you on Discord.
Okay.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
He's also allergic to everything.
Having only 2 members or 2 monitors instead of 3 because you're taking up one of them is like, I feel crippled all of a sudden. All right, let's see. Left monitor and get that out of the way. Go. Make Eve great again. All right, so that dude was awesome, and so this dojo was a big deal or was not a big deal, but he offered it up, and a lot of the community didn't like it because they felt that the nature of Eve combat is not gladiatorial, and that gladiatorial combat did not have a place on Tranquility.
Basically, it's a thing he was working on in his spare time that was a really cool idea, and it was basically just like, hey, I made this thing.
Right.
Like it was never meant to be, this is the final end cut, this is a finished product. This is an idea that I have built a prototype of.
Yeah.
Here, have it before I leave the company.
Yeah, what it really was like CCP is given a period of time in their off time, like a period of their work time is allowed to work on whatever they want. I can't remember. I think it's like they're 15%, and a lot of their projects, Valkyrie was originally one of those projects. The fitting tool was one of those projects. The new fitting tool that we just got.
Gotta love Bar.
Yeah, so all kinds of crazy stuff gets built during this time. They're allowed to do basically whatever the heck they want. And so what CCP Veritas was working on was this robust kind of fitting thing, and he didn't have to explain it to anybody, and he didn't have to justify it to anybody because it was on his off time. But then once he
fucking did it, and it was cool.
Right, and so then when he was leaving the company, he was like, well, this is how far I got, and if you want it, then great. If you don't want it, then don't worry about it. And ultimately, like I said, people... Like, the tournament community showed that they really were interested in having robust tournament tools, obviously.
Yeah.
And, the need for kind of a legitimate esport mentality and having, like, athletes in the game as a gameplay style was kind of there and attractive, and there's interest in it. But, like I said, overall, there was enough of a voice that was against the idea of fair fights in EVE that it didn't really have a place on Tranquility. So that's where this new server comes in, right? That this new server fills that gap where it's like, well, if you just really want a fair, sportsman-like tournament-style combat, then here you go. You can do whatever you want.
If you made like a matchmaking server for like rifters at the Sun, like that kind of deal, people, you for example, you would never see Chesser on Tranquility again. You would never ever log into Tranquility. And I think that part of the glory of Eve is having people like Chesser going around hunting nerds. Like, I think that a lot of the people who are really into that, they would get bored of it after 2 to 3 months because the hunt and the excitement and the tension and the searching for the kill. Like, for example, I used to be an FC, and to this day, I just can't stand arranged fights. I hate them with a passion. Because for me, they take away, like, 80% of being good at leading a fleet.
I strongly agree.
The skill of leading a fleet.
The only thing that I would be willing to do, like, the very most that I've ever been willing to do with that kind of thing, is accidentally leak intel. Like... if there's not going to be a spy in my fleet, I'll be the spy and just be like, hey guys, we've got this group here, but then that's it, right?
The most I'm willing to do is if I'm bored and I just want to fight, I will occasionally go, hey, Astarothi and Adron Robotics, I'm going to grab like 30 dudes in T1 cruisers-ish, and we're going to go over here. If you want to come shoot at us in approximately 30 T1 cruisers, that's cool.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Effectively you can just leak your own intel.
Yeah, and I think that you only ever do it to people that you trust to bring reasonable fights. Like, I wouldn't ever tell Snuffbox that. That's dumb. Right. But, like, you just go and then, like, you still got to dance around each other. You still got to engage. You still got to scout each other out. But that's just, like, if I'm feeling lazy as an FC.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, really, and lazy is kind of, I would say, a misnomer. Because as an FC, you're kind of doing two jobs. You're entertaining yourself, but you're also entertaining your group. So if you know that you're kind of losing your group in a fight, would be like any fight would be useful. That's when you want to start doing that kind of stuff, right? Because obviously it'd be great to get like those epic moments, like those epic bomber runs, but you have a responsibility to your fleet to at least provide some sort of content.
Yeah.
But So that being said, we now have this tournament server, and has that seen a rise of tournament play? Because as I was saying, like this, I didn't mean just like the mechanics of the tournament itself, but the rules, this stuff we have evolved as a community.
we really get the rule set, and the rule set is this. So it's weird because I'm really young in the tournament scene and in tournament understanding.
Right. Okay.
So like my valid experience of EVE tournaments are the two I commentated in the last one that I hosted.
Okay.
Like so I can only speak to it with a level of insight over that time. What I'll say is that from where it looked like we were to where we are, not only has the quality of commentators massively improved, and I know I'm going to be biased there, but like genuinely trying to objectively look at it, I genuinely think the quality of casting has improved.
Well, I'm not even going to say
the UI has improved. The way we disseminate information has improved. Like the entire production around the gameplay itself has improved massively.
I would say that it wouldn't be so much that that like the commentators have improved, but the commentary has definitely improved. Because the thing is that, I'm not trying to say anything about any individual commentator's talent, but in the past, a lot of CCP productions has had kind of a less than serious approach about it. And I think part of that is because of the fact that, it is pretty scary to, go out and, be a commentator, right? You've never been to a journalism school, you've never commentated before, and here you are talking to a few thousand people. Like the expectation can only be so high, and so that sometimes gets offset by being
it's
goofy.
really difficult because a lot of the people that are really, really good at the tournament scene and have the level of insight that you would want in a commentator aren't necessarily bombacious, flamboyant people who are great on a stream.
A good example is, and I'm terrible with names, so you're going to have to remind me. Who was it this year that was, like, he knew everything, but he was totally deadpan?
Oh, moderator.
Yes.
Yeah, he is absolutely a tournament expert. And personally, I really enjoy his commentary. Mm-hmm. But if you wanted to show a brand new person the Alliance tournament, I would not choose him to be the commentator for their match.
Right. Or more importantly, I would say that if you're going to have him comment a match, he's the kind of commentator that you want at like between tournaments.
You
between
pair
rounds.
with a color commentator.
And then if he's going to be in the box, he needs to be paired with one of the guys that will show it being exciting, because it's good to teach people and have people understand what's going on, but more importantly, you really need to get people to understand the emotions of it before you can get anywhere.
So, like, for the first ATI commentated, we had I think a really awesome team that worked really, really well together, because we brought a lot of different things to the table, but we could also all be interesting to talk on our own. So we had Elise Randolph, who is always wonderful to listen to. His analysis is top part, tons of experience. Everyone in the community loves the man. Elisa Randolph is just a cool guy to hang out with. Where he found his most difficulty, the most challenging part for him, was being in the booth and like doing the hype. Like, personally, I think he's a pretty damn good hype man, but he's not as confident with it, and he feels that that's his weakness. Then you have someone like me. I am nowhere near the brilliance of Mr. Elise Randolph, but I came from casting StarCraft 2. So I'm used to casting 50-minute matches, the first 20 minutes of which nothing happens, and it's the same nothing that happens for the last 30 games for the last 9 hours I've been casting of the tournament. So I can sit and hype and talk and bullshit and sound really excited as long as you need me to. Like, I've made a fucking Eve career out of it, let's be honest.
No, totally.
So, like, I really enjoy working with Elise. And then you had so I'm a decent height person, and then only really recently have I had a reasonable, like what I would consider a reasonable level of in-depth insight. A lot of that would be thanks to playing with the PL team this year, which I learned an absolute ton from a few of the best tournament pilots in the history of the fucking game.
Best
there.
boundary violators in the history of the game.
Exactly. You got to push the limits to know where they are. Or something. Then you had Bacchanalian and Chesser, first and second year respectively, who were very, very different, but they kind of filled the same role. And they were both very knowledgeable, and they were both really strong personalities. So Bacchanalian, in my mind, is the typical American. Like, but in the best
it's like
way
every
possible.
single time we talk, you find a way to slight Americans somehow.
No, it's not a slight. Bacchanalian is like one of the nicest, friendliest guys in the world. Like, he's loud and he's a bit crass, but like in the most wonderful way.
Right.
Like
endearingly assholeish.
Not even asshole. He's just endearing in just how fucking happy he is, right?
Fair enough.
And then you have Chesser, the Prince of Reddit, like fucking elitist snob, and he plays it up for media. Like, he's genuinely a really lovely guy. Like, he's got that aspect to him, but it's not as big as he put on screen. And you either love to love him or you love to hate him, and it makes for a really entertaining show. And then we had Sir Squeebles, and like a lot of people. So Squeebles rubs the wrong way. Like, it's a very dry, sarcastic humor. Like, he and Rise, I think, sometimes form a similar role, but I'd say Squeebles is the more extreme, where they've got a certain sense of humor that is great. Like, it's actually very Icelandic, their sense of humor, weirdly enough, despite neither of them being from Iceland. But they add a really nice dynamic and kind of like a nice uniqueness to it. And so Squeebles as well, he's a streamer. He can carry his own. He can talk. He can hold up a conversation and run it. And then you have the CCPers. So you have CCP Larrikin, wonderful Aussie guy. He joined us for 13 and then did 14 as well. You have CCP Fozzie. Like, CCP Fozzie is a fucking machine. Yeah. He could commentate the entire tournament on his own. He doesn't need the rest of us. He could probably file the fucking spit. Yeah,
he lets us take part.
Like, I'm fairly sure that CCP and the entire game is actually a simulation running inside his mind. Like,
CCP Fozzie arguably really got his job driven by his passion for specifically the Alliance tournament. He just kept on going back and doing commentary for Alliance tournament.
Like, the dev I get angriest about most receiving hate is CCP Fozzie. Like, I was in Iceland for AT13 when, do you remember the hashtag, which I won't mention?
Yes. That was so
That is the one
lame.
and only time I have ever legitimately, like, I had tears in anger over this. Like, I, as a person, I don't do
Fozzie
anger.
alone!
No, like, I don't do anger. I have mental health problems with the difficult upbringing that mean I can't deal with conflict and anger.
Okay.
But I was so angry watching Reddit explode whilst I was in Iceland with this guy who has done so fucking much for the dev team and the game and is so brilliant and wonderful, and like, the guy bleeds passion. Yeah. Like, if you cut him, it's not blood, it's just passion and love for EVE Online.
Just spaceships
so you
come flowing
fucking
out.
nerd, yeah. You like hull tanked vigilance come pouring out. Like, you nerds, fucking leave that man alone. He's the Jesus dev, in my opinion. Like, he is like, if you need somebody just really intelligent to work on a project, like, I just want CCP project. Like, if CCP are working on a feature that I care about, I'm like, Fozzie's on it, awesome. I'm not saying that he can't make mistakes, and I'm not saying that, like, he does all this work on his own, but, like, if Fozzie's thinking about something, you're going to get some really interesting and good ideas that result of that.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's going to be a long time, generally, before the full effects and intentions play out. You know what I mean? And that's one of the problems is that, this game, these changes are happening live. And so it may take months or sometimes years for the true value of the mechanics to burn out, because like
And like
Fozzie for
some
example.
changes only make sense when you see the next change that happens a year later.
Right.
That's in the timeline.
Yeah.
Like the other person that I would put in that category is CCP Seagull, who is the biggest fucking nerd baller like ever. Like she's so awesome.
Yes, I would follow that lady into war. I haven't said that about very many people outside of the military, but like,
and the thing is, you're a fucking military guy. That legitimate, like, I can bullshit and talk all I want and big people up. If you say you'd follow someone into war, you actually went into war following people.
Yeah. No, she. Every time I listen to her talk, I've listened to everything I can possibly find on the internet. She has a lot of, because she's. In case you haven't noticed, she's not just CCP Seagull. She's also, Andy. She does. She's a major advocate for design by participation, which is the kind of the corporate
she's
structure.
An advocate for like LGB and trans and
gender. She's all that stuff too, which is
and if you remember, pre and possibly during FanFest 2014, her public speaking, as wonderful as a woman she is, her public speaking wasn't great, and it was a thing that was brought up a lot.
Yep.
But like she very clearly put time and effort into that skill.
Yep. No, I remember.
And it's now absolutely brilliant.
I remember the very first time CCP Seagull stepped on that stage for it was one of the keynotes.
I think it was 2014. I think it was in the audience.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, was it the 10-year? I'm not sure, but so. Something. She seemed so nervous, and she's kind of a smaller. She's small, and if she's nervous, it looks. It almost looked a little bit like weakness, and I was just like, oh, this community is going to just chew her apart. Like, how
you don't want the person who's in charge of EVE Online to be nervous.
Yeah, especially
you don't want that.
Especially since EVE, historically, it was in a time in which the community was one of the most animostic. The community and the player had zero faith in CCP is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
The community, the faith in CCP as a company was at an almost all-time low. It wasn't necessarily as low as Incarna, but they definitely had not been.
It was not going well.
Yeah, CCP was kind of getting by because after Incarna, they kind of bowed to player demand for a little while and got good credo from that. But that didn't mean that we trusted them to make the right decision on their own. You know what I mean? And so,
like, you're listening to us, you better fucking keep doing it because you're idiots.
Yeah.
I mean, this is before my time. Like, I would say that since Seagull took over, which is since I started paying attention, I genuinely think for all the shit, like, nerds who like insulting things to make themselves feel superior, seems to be even knocking it out the fucking park.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I'm not saying they don't make mistakes, but, like, holy shit. Like, compare them to any other game company in the industry at the moment.
Yeah,
who is better right now?
That's one of the funny things about this whole alpha thing is because all these players are like, oh, you can't do it because of this, and it's all you can just see the bitter vets, like the bitter vet logic playing its way through, and yet the new players that are coming out, the posts on Reddit that I'm seeing are just like, oh my god, that MP was like 5 minutes into the game, I'm blowing up a fucking hive, and now I'm immortal, and oh my god, this is the best thing ever. How can I do more? What's the next thing I can do? And I think that we've forgotten that they don't remember.
Yeah.
Any rate,
like I started playing EVE just before was it Odyssey where they rebalanced T1 cruisers?
I thought that was Retribution.
Possibly Retribution. Retribution and Odyssey happened really close to each other. I think they were next to each other. So I started playing EVE in like June, July, August 2012.
Right. So right after Incarna, right? Like the recovery
Maybe.
From Incarna. Right?
Every set of changes I've seen, I'm like, this is fucking awesome. I can't think of a change I've gone where I've gone like, CCP, that's the fucking dumbest thing in the world. Why have you done that? Like there are features come out and they're bugged, and sometimes it takes CCP a while to fix broken shit.
Yes.
But like, there is an extent to like, I get far less mad about that than other people because like, if you literally go to the CCP offices, and this isn't a good excuse, But if you literally go to the CCP office and you see how many people there are working on a massive game compared to like to an EA or an Ubisoft, like it is really not that many people building this game
Yeah.
as game companies go. And yet they still do so much incredible shit, and they've got to balance like shiny new toys for marketing with iteration on old stuff, with bug fixes, with whatever. They've got to balance all those resources. Like, for example, I would love it if we had an entire team devoted to the tournament and made the tournament scene amazing.
Right.
But CCP only have X many resources. If they did that, we might not have had Citadels for another 2 years.
Right.
And that's not okay. I think for the resources they have, like, CCP do fucking awesome. And, like, they're such an awesome game company, in my opinion. Have I sucked their dick enough? Like, is this...
Well,
like,
I think the point that you're
I'm
trying to make is
gargling
that
it.
a lot of the biggest problem that CCP has is the fact that
players.
is a lack of resources, right?
I think the biggest problem CCP has is the fucking bitter vets.
No, well, because that's the thing, though, because they're both a big problem, but they're also not wrong. I mean, bitter vets are bitter vets because they're just so passionate about the game.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, there are definitely those who just want to see the world burn, but I think a lot of them have actually just kind of left at this point.
You know,
I
think a lot of them will raise valid points, but the level of vitriol that comes with it is far too much, in my opinion.
I agree.
And it's because they love the game and they're so passionate, but like when you take something to CCP, screaming at them and calling them retards, why would they listen to you?
But I think my point is that I think that that's starting to become more and more a false stereotype.
Yes, it is much less than we're at a low point of that in my EVE experience.
Yes. So just to let you know, there used to be, back when CCP Soundwave was a thing, there was a concept called the Forum Wine Index, or the Forum Bitch Index, or something like that, where basically CCP just kind of resigned themselves that the forums were just going to be filled with people hating them, and they used it as a barometer where it's like, oh, well, today we had 100 new posts of people hating us, whereas yesterday we only had 30, you know? And it was kind of an accepted thing because, like I said, CCP used to have, if not an antagonistic kind of attitude, definitely a we know what we're doing attitude. But there was a certain amount of that Viking determinism that caused a lot of people. There was definitely an early cultural conflict between the Icelanders and you know a lot of, especially like the American players.
Somebody's asking in chat what percentage of CCP is working on Valkyrie. I can't tell you the percentage, but I know it is the Newcastle office. They are responsible pretty much for Valkyrie. There, you know, a few guys across, like maybe the marketing of it is done from Atlanta with Ned and that kind of thing. But like, look at the CCP Newcastle office. Those are the guys that work on Valkyrie. That's the Newcastle office's job, is Valkyrie, to my knowledge.
Right. Well, the talent to make Valkyrie is very different than Eve, because Eve is written in Python and C. And Valkyrie is developed predominantly in an engine. I think it's Unreal. I think they use Unreal 4. That's how they got knowledgeable in Unreal 4. So, while yes, technically they're you develop both with developers. Again, that's like saying.
So like Fozzie spends an afternoon developing Valkyrie.
Well,
when he's bored.
To put it a different way, it'd be like, having a French chef and having them cook Japanese food, right? Like, they probably understand the concept, and if they read up a little bit,
they do better than the layman. They do better than the random person.
But it's not like you could just it's not like, you have a sushi restaurant and you're like, oh, well, crap, well, we've got an abundance of French, or French style chefs over here, let's just move them over. It doesn't work that way. I mean, even in mobile development, an Android programmer would have to spin up if they moved over to even like iOS. I've been in and out of the game for 11 years. I got pissed at the game and left, and would like to come back and then go away again. What? And go away again if I don't like it.
If I got pissed at the game.
Oh,
So he's like, instead of being a whiny bitch, he'll just stop playing.
yeah, and that's totally fair. Why not? You know, that's the best thing about it. You know, it's a fucking video game, so if you don't want to play it, it's not like you owe anything to anybody.
Witcher 3 for like 2 months and see if any updates have happened.
Yeah. And the other thing I will say is that, you know, never forget that there are different aspects to the game, and different aspects are totally different. So like, if they nerf
Elise Randolph's Eve Vegas video, for example.
So, you know, if you used to be a miner or if you used to be a rogue wall booster and you don't like the fact that the rogue wall boost changed, well, maybe see if there's another gameplay that you like, or if not, then, you know, there are other games and nobody's going to fault you for it because it's your time.
Yeah.
I don't really.
We started on one current news topic, and we've kind of gone somewhere.
Whatever, man.
I feel like that's going to be a thing in our show, because you and I both just will go on endlessly and slightly diverge.
I agree, but also, you know, this is one of our first few times that we've been able to step into the ring together, so it's not like you're going to explain your Alliance tournament experience every single time, but that's still a good, you know, meet the panelists kind of episode, you know what I'm saying?
Okay,
that being said, I will bring up our first news item.
45 minutes into the show, yeah, it's good.
I was gonna talk about Rick Javik's, Jeff Rader's show. So Jeff Rader,
dude, that was a good show. The last episode,
yeah,
I was happy with it.
Jeff Rader's show is a very interesting show because. And
basically a better organized shit on Kugu, and I loved shit on Kugu.
Yeah, so let's
like Jeff is a fantastic Eve media personality.
As a person that's also been on his show, let me explain to you what's going on. Everybody wants this show to exist, right? Like there's a lot of people that love the show and how and what it is. And there's so much really valuable or fun little tidbits that come out here and there. But to make it a super high quality show would take a lot of effort, right? Because it's like it's like 2.5, 3 hours where like 80% of it...
Jeff shows, they really do get the top FCs and the most famous people in the Eve space.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's who's showed. Like you have like the Imperium doing the Imperium shows, and you have like the, but like I can totally see on a Jeff Rader show, Laz and Manny and whoever else talking about BR, for example.
Yep.
And I don't think that happens anywhere else.
Yeah, and so, but the consequence of that is that, basically it's kind of low production value. He effectively, Jeff Rader kind of shows up, turns on comms.
Gets a bunch of guys in TeamSpeak channel.
Yeah, gets a bunch of guys on TeamSpeak channel, lets us know when it's going to start, go on stream, and we just go.
Happens.
And then he takes that recording and he throws it up, and that's
puts
the podcast.
hip-hop music at the beginning and the end.
And that's it. That's literally the extent of the production value.
Jeff is a natural host.
But the nice thing about it is there's so many little tiny gems that come out of those videos. There's so many little conversations and factoids and arguments and misunderstandings that come out of those podcasts.
Yeah.
They're just
like
fantastic.
Like Grath was explaining how you kill PL.
Yes.
So here's the thing. Like one of the big issues of modern Eve, how do you take down a superpower? Grath was literally saying, yeah, like we're really fucking hubris right now. If you just pay attention and do effort and don't just PL's here, it's time to give up.
Yeah.
Then you can so easily kill PL. I think he basically said at this moment, if you guys had committed at this point instead of not committed, you would have. We were totally off kilter. We would have been dead. Yeah, like basically, since last Whelp, there's a hubris graph that is constantly increasing function, and like it's the way to physically represent it is that PL is slowly bending over and pulling its pants down more and more obviously. And eventually, someone's going to try and spank us on the ass. And the longer that that it takes to happen, the harder we hurt.
So, can I just say that each empire has to solve their puzzles their own way according to their ideology, and obviously, Goonswarm solved their puzzles of having content by being complete assholes to everybody, and therefore pissing them off and making them want to come fight them. But it seems like the new kind of PL empire their way of making sure that they always have enough fights is just to be the most fun enemy they possibly can be.
No, we're the least fun enemy we can possibly be.
I don't know.
Like, oh, you've committed to the fight with more than a few frigates. Drop all the supers.
No, I mean, like, what I'm saying is, wait, what am I doing in this? What I mean is that, like, outside of the game, like, to prompt people to want to come fight you, you guys are very lighthearted and fun and do good things and kind of tempt and taunt people into fighting you. Then once the fight is on, the funny haha goes away and the supers come into play.
Where
the
PL
smug versus
kind
whelp
of has
graph.
this reputation of, like, a ton of PL guys go to CCP, and, like, PL are in charge of all the podcasts and all the news websites, and we're in charge of all the community projects, and it's this great PL conspiracy. That is a really poor way to look at it. The thing about PL is that it really attracts the content generators and the people that do shit.
Right.
Like, PL has a solid history of actively recruiting
Poaching.
the best FCs whenever they can, of having solid content creators and basically being the best of the best at the top level of the game. So say you're in a good alliance, whatever, and it dies, and you're one of the content creators. You can either go to all the effort of making your own corp and making your alliance, or you can
just
have
resign
a bit
to the
of
fact that
easier
you've been
time.
beaten and bested and join the people who bested you.
Well, even if you weren't fighting PL, like, so when, I don't know if this is a good example, this story could be completely wrong, but I'm going to use her. So Beffa, for example, was the test milder for a while, and she did a shit ton of stuff in test, and, like, she was a really active, useful person in test. Then when the Honey Badger Coalition died, and went down, she joined PL. Right. Because she knew PL was a place that had other people who gave a shit about the game as much as she did.
Right.
And this might be a terrible, like, this could be entirely untrue for Beffa, but I think the sentiment is true for a lot of people that join PL. Like, I wanted to join PL because, like, I wanted to learn from the best FCs in the game, and then secondarily because I want to learn from the best tournament pilots in the game. So I went to PL for that.
So what you're
all
saying
the people who are active and content creators have a reason to join PL.
Right. So
and
you're
so
saying
they
that...
do, and that means that the people who are content creators and do shit are in PL. That's why the CSM is full of people who are in PL, because even though they do vastly disparate things in the game, PL is a good alliance to be in for people who like doing shit.
Right. That's fair. Okay. So effectively you're saying that it wasn't a conspiracy that you guys, like, took over for power, which is kind of was Goon's mentality, right? They were like, oh, well, we realize the effectiveness of the CSM, and therefore we are going to calculate and exploit our resources in order to seize as much power on this panel as we can. Whereas PL's just like, we happen to have a lot of people that fucking love the game, and those people also happen to make good CSM members.
Yeah, like, we've got, like, the people who run most of the Aussie meets are in PL. The guy who started Eve Vegas, I believe, is in PL.
Right.
Like, and a lot of the thing is, like, I started becoming an Eve media person before I was in PL. I was in Waffles at the time. I did my first Alliance tournament from Waffles. I did the Alliance panel as a Waffles rep. I became an FC in Waffles. And PL was kind of a natural step in my Eve career. So now the PL badge is on everything Apothne does. I happen to be in PL. Like, a lot of the Eve stuff I don't do because I'm in PL. I do because I'm Apothne, and the PL tag gets dragged along with that. Like, so for example, Mr. Hyde.
But you are bringing up PL a lot, so we can move on.
Well,
to the next
well,
time.
and that's just where I am. So, like, but, like, I think Mr. Hyde is a much better example of this. Mr. Hyde, really well-known solo PvPer, the most, like, I think he was, like, the permanent attendee in the most recent CSM that got, like, the most votes with how it works, how STV works.
Do you know
like,
what's going on with Mr. Hyde, by the way?
No, I don't. Apparently he's okay,
Right.
but, like, I haven't heard anything. Like, he's a friend, and I'm actually legitimately a bit worried. But, like, until I hear something, I'm going to assume that he's fine, and he just needed some space.
Well,
is what I'm going.
I try to have an optimistic view, because obviously if I'm wrong, then we'll just deal with that. But I was thinking that, you know, if he was in negotiations to be hired by CCP, that would probably be part of the process. But I can't remember what happened with Kill 2 when he got hired.
So I find that incredibly unlikely. Firstly, when Kill 2 was hired, his YouTube videos didn't get deleted.
Okay.
Well,
they're not deleted, right? Or they're just private?
And, like, what I personally... No, you can still go to them. You can still watch them.
No.
Well, Hyde's. Hyde's are private, and he deleted his Twitter account.
Oh.
So, like, the thing about Mr. Hyde is, in real life, and this has been said before publicly, so I'm not doxing, he is a law student, and I think that... And he's, like, at a very good university, and, like, he's probably got exams coming up or something. My guess would be that his real life is busy as fuck, so he's just removing himself from the Eve space for a couple days, maybe a week or two, and then just like removing everything, just gone, and then he'll come back.
It just seems like a really odd way to go about that.
Yeah, it seems weird, but like knowing him personally, I don't say I know him particularly well, but I've spoken to him on a bunch of occasions. I consider him a friend. I absolutely believe that if he was going to drop out of the CSM, like if he couldn't do it anymore and he needed to leave Eve, he would go about it and actually say something. He wouldn't just disappear and leave everybody out of the loop, especially internally. Like he would exit in a way that didn't leave any ambiguity. He would go, "Hey, I'm leaving Eve. It's been awesome. Okay, bye."
Steve Ronikin has explicitly said that he, at least last I checked, has said that he has not left the CSM. That he is...
and that makes me believe that he's just taking a week or two off.
Right.
He's just removing himself from any temptation to be involved with Eve. Like he might have uninstalled it just to go, I need to focus on my being a lawyer exams for 2 weeks with no interruptions.
Well, I'll just say from now on, let this be a lesson to everybody. If you need to take a sabbatical from Eve, that's fine. But if you're gonna have a YouTube channel,
worry about you.
Yeah, seriously, like we're getting to like blink twice if you're in danger kind of territory of paranoia on Reddit at this point.
Yeah.
All right, so I also wanted to talk about Tarek Rimo. He's been posting quite a bit on Crossing Zebras. Well, quite a bit being 2.
He always has. Like, Tarek is the most consistent writer on CZ. And, like, I know that I'm a writer on staff at CZ. Honestly, I don't read most of what we put out. I actually don't.
Sure.
But I always read Tarek's articles.
Yes. Well, I actually haven't read the one that just came out today, but I did read the Intaki Part 2 and the Intaki Part 1. And that stuff is interesting.
Like I would define Tarek as a very high concept writer.
Yes.
Like he's like a professor or was a professor or like he's somewhere high level in academia and in like sociology / psychology, something in that realm. And like the way he discusses Eve and the way he discusses ideas is just really nice. It's always really well put together.
Yes, and his lore articles they're the only articles that I've seen, but I mean, like, well, Mark726 is a fantastic writer too, but he does like sites and he controls the narrative. Apothne, Tarek does like overall descriptions of people, like he did In the Name of the Job, and now he's doing the Intaki and all that kind of stuff, and his description of the lore is just a delight to read. It's interesting. It's engaging. Descriptions. You feel like you're learning something about another culture of people and not just reading a background story.
When I read Tarek's articles, I feel like I'm listening to the History of Rome podcast by Mike Duncan.
Yes,
like,
exactly.
I love that podcast. I'm currently re-listening to it for like the 4th time. And it is really interesting subject material presented in a really engaging way. And being able to do that is an incredible skill and a very valuable skill, and Tarek absolutely has it.
Yes. And it's hard too, because he uses exclusively the written word, right? Or like he doesn't. It's not like a podcast when you're talking. Whoops, whoop whoop. That would be Scorb1. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the stream. thank you for joining me on this journey down the rabbit hole, which is EVE Online. All right, so maybe I should turn those off for the podcast. I don't know, whatever. Again, it's one of those things that if I can say, for this first episode, I'm just kind of letting it fall to, and then, fall together
We'll get
however
feedback.
it may.
Like, did you watch the first episode of Even Nerds Play D&D? Like, that was ghetto, dude. That
That's
was
true.
ghetto.
But I guess that's what I was trying to say with the Jeff Rader show too. Is that like, and even like the latest trailer that came out, if you, I've got more follows coming. Hold on. That would be Lord Doa. Thanks for the follow. Any rate, so, damn it. Now I forgot my place. So if that happens again, I'm probably gonna have to turn it off. But because I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh well. Ultimately, you gotta just start creating, and then you refine from there.
CCP Karker is about to do a talk at Evan Down Under on the Twitch stream, so you shouldn't close our podcast, but you should absolutely have that up and be listening to both at the same time.
That's fair. Or we could actually put it on. I guess if it's ongoing, if it's CCP Karker, I wouldn't. I don't know. Ugh, this was. Well, that's a good point. Let's talk about a little bit about what's going on this weekend, because there's actually quite a bit going on this weekend.
Eve Down Under.
Yes.
Like, it's the main Australian meet. Otto Bismarck is there, who is a fucking awesome human being.
Do we know who from CCP is there? You said CCP Karker, right?
So Karker's there. I'm assuming Mimic is. I would assume Guard is. Maybe Larrikin is going back to see his people. I think Antiquarian has gone, actually.
Oh, that's who I wanted to talk about. If we could jump back to the Alliance tournament. Now we're just jumping all over topics, but I don't really care. Whatever. We can do whatever the fuck we want. Yeah,
This is our podcast.
This is our podcast. All right.
This is the Rogue broadcast.
Yeah.
We aren't beholden to anyone but ourselves.
Renegade. All right. So, going back to kind of like the format, the series, or like the I'm going to say the professionalism of the commentary. It used to be that people kind of didn't take themselves seriously, almost like a defense mechanism towards what they were having to do. But one of the things I really appreciate is that it's obvious that CCP in particular are starting to take the tournaments more seriously. And what's his name? You just said it, and I can't remember his
CCP
name.
Antiquarian.
Yeah, Antiquarian is that perfect kind of example of comedy, yet, giving the kind of the procedure, the respect, or the kind of the pride it deserves, right? Like, he's a sports fan.
He is. Like, the thing about Antiquarian is, if CCP Fozzie knows everything about EVE Online, and he really does, you could probably just, like, call him up in the middle of the night and say, what is the agility modifier on a Cerberus? And he just reel it off, just instantly, just bam, bam, bam. Don't do that. Let the man have his sleep. Antiquarian, you want on your pub quiz team. He knows every piece of trivia about everything, and, like, he'll just say something, and you'll just go, how the fuck do you know that? Like, he might just make it all up, actually, thinking about it now. But, like, I actually believe that it's the truth.
Well, I also think that he just, in general, is probably one of the best presenters that CCP has had, like, consistently. He's just the best CCP, like, in front of the camera for Alliance tournaments specifically. Like, CCP Mimic does a really good job.
I mean,
outside
of the CCP employees that have hosted the Alliance tournament, sure.
That's what I mean. Because CCP. My bad.
I'm the only. To my knowledge, I'm the only person who has hosted an Alliance tournament weekend who wasn't employed by CCP.
That's fair.
Which is why that joke is.
I gotcha. That's a good one.
I'm sorry. I had to explain the joke, and it's not
so egotistical.
Yeah.
I like how the fact that not only was it a joke that was totally self-aggrandizing, but also you felt the need to then explain it to just make sure that everybody understood how
well, the thing is,
it was.
I am really bad at making myself come off as an egotistical douchebag that I now do it on purpose because I find it amusing, but it makes it even worse.
You're not a douchebag, but you roleplay one on TV?
I don't know. I'm I don't know. I'm some form of media whore. Let's be honest.
All right. But at any rate, my point is that the Alliance tournament, like CCP has bought into it, and the commentators have bought into it, and so it seems like everybody wants to make it as good as it can be.
I mean, I don't think that that's new. I think that it's just one of those things where everything's fallen into place.
Well, so there's always been kind of a balance between like serious sports commentary and the Eve trolley side of things. Yeah. And I think that especially under like CCP Dolan, it definitely tilted more towards the trolley side of things to the point where it
and there was also a
wasn't
faction in the production team, more behind the scenes, who wanted it to be very, very serious and didn't like that at all. And there was for a time kind of like a conflict.
Yeah.
But I think that we're at the point where everyone's on the same page.
Yeah,
like everyone really is. Well, and further, what really helps is that between 8012 and 8013, which are the two I did in Iceland, that's when they set up the Eve TV studio for the 07 show.
Right.
So that they now have permanently in the CCP building a TV studio and all the kit that runs it all year round.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, they're taking it seriously.
A TV room that's converted for a month.
That's a really good point. Like, that's what I was saying. Like, they're taking it seriously now. They as a company are expending the resources to make it happen. Like, there were in the past years where it was like, well, maybe there might not be an AT this year because if no devs... To
be honest, that's true every year.
That's fair, but I think it's less
like
now.
I don't know if an AT is going to happen next year. I hope it does, but like it might not.
I would be surprised at this point if it didn't. In previous, there have been years where it's like, we're not sure who would run the AT. You know, like especially when there was a big turnover when a lot of the guys left for Riot. There were some questions, and I think that it's in a much stronger place than it used to be.
Yeah, I think that the AT does have its own difficulties, and I can understand the argument for moving the AT. Like, but I would, because I love the AT, I would like, okay, if you're taking away the AT, I'm gonna have a fucking fit and be a right pain in the dick if you don't say we are not doing the AT because we're going to do this instead.
Right.
And if the this instead doesn't make me break my desk in half with a giant nerd boner, then it's not good enough to replace the AT.
Which is not necessarily an extremely high bar.
No.
I mean, but
my desk is quite close to my lap. It wouldn't take much, but like you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
like,
no, totally.
Like if you're taking away the AT, you have to replace it with something better.
Right.
Not,
if they're like,
we're gonna we need
do...
the dev time for our current project. That's not good enough. It has to be, we're not doing the AT, and instead we're doing player built Stargates, and you're getting that now.
No, I would say,
and everyone goes,
yeah, it'd have to be something like, we're not doing the AT because we're doing the Grand Tournament, which is like kind of the next iteration of the concept. And I'd be willing to be okay with that. Like, but that's the other thing that's important to remember, is that Eve doesn't exist in a vacuum, and just like our theories about game design have evolved greatly in the last 10 years, just across the gaming sphere, as MMOs have matured and lessons have been learned in design space, the rise of the free-to-play, all these other things.
Changed entirely. Like 10 years ago, subscription-based MMO model, that was the model. That's how it worked. Everyone bought into that. These days, subscription-only MMO doesn't really cut it anymore, which is part of the reason why we're seeing alphas.
You know, it's funny. Do you know why subscription MMOs were so big for so long?
Because everybody loved WoW, and WoW was a subscription-based MMO.
Oh, no. So what it was back in the day, originally, MMOs were on, like, AOL and CompuServe. And so they were pay by the hour, pay by the minute. So people would spend hundreds of dollars just accessing these games. And so the subscription was, if you pay $15, it's unlimited play. So this is just kind of an evolution of, you know, as the potential player base grows, as the collective of people who play MMOs get bigger, then the economic model changes so that way it can facilitate a larger number of people while staying economically viable. That's why you see this transition from more economically restrictive to less economically restrictive models. Just fun fact.
I also, like, I was saying this for months, like, since they launched skins.
Yeah.
And especially coming into when we went free to play, they had to drop the skin prices to like a third of what they were. They were way too fucking expensive.
Sure, of course they were. But that's the thing. You can always make them lower, right?
Yeah.
But if that's all you've got, then that's what you got to play for, right? Like, the whole point of it was that here's the other piece of it. On a business level, the money that was coming in from skins is what justified further development on those skins. So,
but I feel that if the price had been lower, they would have sold so many more that it would have made them more money.
That may or may not be true, because you got to remember, the value of a skin is entirely psychological, right? So CCP, there is no cost of building a skin. Well, there's the artistic cost, right? So the more they have to recoup the cost of the development of the skin, but there's no production cost for the skins. So
other than the creating the tool that creates skins,
right? But I mean, like, if they sell one skin or they sell 1 million skins, it doesn't necessarily cost them any different in like operational cost, as opposed to like t-shirts. If I produce t-shirts, I would have a cost per t-shirt I produce. In this case, there is no minimum. So the value or the cost of a skin is completely psychological. So if I set it this high, I am in opposition of the player base, right? So if I say, okay, skin's worth $10, the player base says, no, it's not, it's worth $5. I have to show confidence in my belief that it's worth 10 and see whether or not the player base will eventually begrudgingly agree. If I just give that up, then I'm actually giving away potential money. Again, you can always bring it down. So the question was, we can guess about it all we want, but in the background, if they're hitting their numbers, then they're hitting their numbers. And they're also discovering what works on different pay levels. And
that does bring us to an actual news topic.
Yep.
Amazingly on this show, that the skin they announced at Vegas that they've got a whole new skin tool where they can do custom crazy skins, so we can actually get cool skins like the ones they have on Serenity, rather than my Erebus is now a slightly darker shade of green.
Yes, that's my favorite. It's the darker shade of green. No, my favorite I think is probably the Mimitar ones, where it's like the tiniest little highlights of yellow. You're talking about the Captain America skin.
The two that I both love and hate the most are the Alliance Tournament 13 tournament skin, which turns your Sansa ships into blue Play-Doh. And so, like, there's this thing about the Kaldari red skins. I can't remember their official name.
Rata Sunset.
But I've seen a Leviathan with it on, and
the giant tampon.
To me, exactly. All the Kaldari ships become giant tampons, and I can't not think about that. Like, it's like anything that's like the Roke as well, because it's that shape. Like, just
so a bit of an aside. For those of you who want to,
because we haven't done any asides so far.
Yeah, no, but if you want to get into the lore thing, I'm going to give you an extra point because you just brought up the Rata Sunset skins. So the Rata Sunset skins are a reference to the Rata Empire, which is the empire that the Kaldari state was before they encountered the Gallente.
And the Gallente went, "You're having democracy now, and you don't have any choice about it."
Well, the Gallente actually it was more like, we are bringing you technology, and we will give you that technology if you join our Federation of Planets. Like, at first, the offer was pretty okay. But eventually the Kaldari state, like, because they were just a better economic engine, they started developing technology that even outstripped the Gallente. And then it was kind of like, well, why the fuck are we listening to these dudes that are just kind of douchebags? And that's what led to everything. But my point is that there are actually a group of corporations. I think 3 of the corporations of the mega corporations are what's considered patriots, which are diehard, like, pro-Kaldari folk. And
who want independence from the Gallente.
Well, not only do they want independence, but some of them even call for the reformation of the Rata Empire.
Ah.
So, that's a thing.
I'm gonna write down on my note. Got Ashtaroth to talk about lore.
Yeah,
Like, 1 point
Rada Empire. Okay, so where is the Confessor? Let's talk about the Confessor skin. So, what do you think of this skin, the Star Captain
I
skin?
think that it's giant fan service to Eve Vegas having a fucking Captain America skin on it.
I think
But I also think that it's really cool. There's this skin on Serenity. It's like a shark skin on the Macarial.
yes.
Like, holy shit, dude, that's fucking awesome.
You're talking about the Serenity
Like,
skins.
yeah, that's it, Serenity skins. Like, I'm not a massive fan of when they completely change the color. Like, it's all right, but I think that for me, that's too much. I want one where it looks like I've gotten out of my ship and I've sprayed a decal on myself,
Right.
like Need for Speed style.
Like MechWarrior Online has some pretty good customizations where you can like change different colors and you can put decals on it and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I think that this is definitely a step in the right direction. I think it's an odd choice for their first one to do.
Yeah, I think it was kind of Team America releasing an Eve Vegas kind of USA kind of deal.
It's weird. I think that also there's part of me that wonders whether or not they were capitalizing on the United States election cycle that was kind of making sure that everybody in the entire world was talking about America for the last couple of months.
Maybe, like,
but
I mean, really, when has like Reddit not been constantly talking about America?
I suppose that's true. Well, there was that time where Ameristralia happened, where America and Australia teamed up to take over the world. But all right, back to the skin.
I'm still a fan of Make America Great Britain Again.
That's awesome. So the other thing that I find odd about the skin, first of all, I think that it's really awesome that they're doing this kind of skin. I just think that the execution of it is a bit off. So yeah, it's weird that it's like so overtly pro-America in a really bizarre way. But I would say that another weird thing about it is that it's on the Confessor, which there's already been so many Amarian skins.
And Amar gets all the cool skins.
And there is already 2 skins for the Confessor. There's no other skins for any other T3 destroyer. It just seems like a very odd choice to be your first.
The Purity of the Throne and the Cold Iron skins are so cool.
Yes.
Like, do me a favor and bring up on screen the Erebus. I am the proud owner of an Erebus. The Erebus I bought came with the Interbus skin, which I wear proudly. Kindly open the Erebus skin and tell me, for my 100 billion-isk hull, plus another 50 billion in fittings, plus another 10 billion in implants, plus another 45 billion in pilot specifically for that ship, what skin choices I have, and like if we can do just like a fashion rundown of like the different Erebus skins. I promise you it won't take long.
Sure. So you've got Duval, which looks like it's got brown with basically, so you've got these
Each time you go through it, you've got to go back to the original and then to the new skin, because it's hard to tell the difference sometimes.
No, it's fair. So let's actually just kind of talk about the whole altogether. So the thing is big and gray, and then it has these sort of highlights around the bumps.
I think the Erebus actually, the hull looks really cool.
Yes.
I've got spinning wheels. Like, I want like a skin that makes those spinning bits chromed.
I can't wait for the day that people just kind of, like, they give up on like it has to be grimdark, because it makes sense that
like Duval is you get a tiny bit of gold plating.
Yeah. Okay, so the green turns to bronzy gold, which is whatever.
Which you cannot tell.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not asking for a giant pink dildo of a ship, though that on the thorax might be an idea.
So the Intaki gives actually a pretty nice blue. But again, it's just those tiny little highlights. That's the big kicker.
That's
the Interbus.
Like, for the amount it costs, like, this is a Titan skin. This is serious money.
Yes. So the Interbus one kind of stands out the most because yellow stands out the most.
Yeah.
But again, none of these, it's worth noting, changes the base gray, which is weird.
And none of them are actually really different skins. They're all the same as the base skin, with one of the color palettes changed.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
All it is.
The second color palette is not changed at all. Okay, so the Serpentis one actually does change the base skin.
You can't fucking tell that.
you can't really tell, but it is there, which is interesting because at least it shows that they can do it. They're just not. And then, the black where up for the highlight. And then the Valamore Legacy also changes the base skin. And I think the Valamore Legacy is probably the best one because it changes the base. Like all of the other ones, even if...
But it's basically the same color.
But this
like,
is what,
you know,
this
the
is what gets me.
stereotype between like men and women, where women have like 1,000 different more colors on their registry. Like green's fucking green, dude. It's a slightly different shade of green, but all my Erebus skins are green.
Right.
Or gray.
I think
or
that
like
this
greeny
is, well,
gray.
I like to say that, or I think that the Erebus is really silver, and the Valamore Legacy is pretty much dookie brown, sort of.
Yeah.
But no. But my point is,
it's the Valamore Legacy is the Erebus got imported into spin tires for a couple hours.
but the thing is that the fix is easy. Just switch the two. Right? Like if you painted the entire Erebus yellow, people would fucking buy that just to be the giant yellow Erebus.
You know those horizontal bulges? I want fucking stripes down that shit.
Well, that's
so that when I'm doing a doomsday and they all fucking light up, and it's like the entire ship is this giant energy pulse beam of death.
So for me,
it goes fucking Super Saiyan.
For me, the biggest question is what will happen next. Like the Star Captain skin is great. They need to announce a new skin like Sunday. Speaking of Sunday, let's segment into that. This Sunday is the next 07 show.
Yes.
So in the event that some of our listeners have never watched the 07 show, why should they watch the 07 show? Now that we've been talking about their production quality and all that kind of stuff.
The 07, nobody should watch the 07 show this Sunday. You definitely shouldn't watch the 07. Like, there's a segment, especially a certain segment, you absolutely shouldn't watch. Like, it's not interesting at all. You shouldn't watch the 07. Like, all the other 07 shows, brilliant, fantastic, watch them all. The one on Sunday, I don't want to talk about it.
Well, all right then. You should totally not watch the 07 show on Sunday. But no,
let's just say that I am going to be, I think I said this yesterday, there's going to be a lot of ridicule in my direction after the 07 show on Sunday, and I'm not looking forward to it.
Well, either way, the important thing about the 07 show right now is that where Vegas gave us kind of some broad strokes about what is going to be coming up next, we don't really know definitively, right? Like, we have no idea what's coming in the December patch, for example. We don't know what the holiday event is, if anything, is going to be. We don't know anything about Christmas presents. There's a lot of things that we don't know right now. And 07 show is where they talk about those kinds of things.
This is probably the one where they would announce it, because like how often do they do these things?
Usually,
or is it just like whenever they fancy?
It used to be whenever they fancy. It's starting to look like once every month to 2 months, I think.
Well,
so
in
about
which case,
it's about
currently November 25th today. It will be November 27th. I can't really see another one until the new year passes, really.
I don't either.
If they don't announce a bunch of stuff about Christmas and New Year's on the 07 show, then it's gonna have to happen in a devlog.
Right.
And why would they not put something in the 07 show if they know it's happening?
Well,
they need something to talk about.
With Christmas presents, they sometimes hold those very close to the cuff, because the Christmas presents are usually this massive labor of love. I don't know if people haven't...
It usually affects the market pretty heavily as well.
No. I'm talking about I expect there probably will be like a Synessis or a Gnosis giveaway. Probably a Synessis giveaway for Christmas.
Did we just have that giveaway?
Yeah, but that's how they do it, right? If there's a giveaway right before Christmas, you can almost guarantee that they will also give it away for Christmas. Does that make... But I'm not sure I'd be a fan of that,
given the importance of Gnosis and Synesis handouts.
And
Apotheosis as well.
I think that's true, but they need to seed as many of those Synesises into the market as possible to see what's gonna how the the alphas are going to interact with them. And again, so you got to remember, I have some fundamental assumptions about their goals for some of these things, and those assumptions may be wrong, which means the goals may be wrong, which means my predictions may be wrong. But my assumption is,
I reckon, is actually a legitimately really good PvP ship.
It is, but my assumption is that the Gnosis and the Synesis line are going to be used as a bit of a retention benefit. They're going to like give them out as retention rewards. On a rhythm, because otherwise the alpha clones would just gobble them up way too quickly. I think too much love, too much time, too much effort, and too much connection between alpha clones and Gnosi exist to for them to just be we'll give you some more in a few years, in my opinion.
Yeah. No, I'm down with that train of logic.
What am I doing? I don't even know where I'm doing right now. I'm in a mission. I killed some stuff, but now I don't even have a mission. Oh, there it is. This game is hard, you know. No, I'm just kidding. But one of the things I don't expect to see drilling platforms or anything huge like that. In fact, actually, I would honestly be more. That's why I asked who's at Eve Down Under. Paying attention to what gets talked about at Eve Down Under, that's where big announcements will be made. If there's big announcements this weekend, like mechanical, like huge things, they'll probably be announced there.
Given that they have Antiquarian, I think Karker is a good choice because she just did a bunch of little things, like she can talk about the new fitting window.
Mm-hmm.
Antiquarian is a QA guy in the art department.
Okay.
So that means that of the people who are both involved in EVE Art and people who are faces for EVE Online, you know, some devs you've never even heard of their names, some
Sure.
devs you see on almost every show.
Right.
Antiquarian is one of the people who has a very public face dev, and he is one of the people on the art team. So if there's somebody that they'd choose to talk about skins publicly...
That's true. That's true. But I would say that the 07 show is a community show, right? Really, it's designed to showcase the community. It's designed to kind of be more lighthearted. Look at Eve as a product, but very much a kind of fun fan style get together. And so, like I said, probably no big announcements there. I would actually expect the skins announcement, if they were going to announce the next skin, I would expect them to show it at the 07 show. They've mentioned the Snowstorm skin, so I expect that there's a better than average chance that we will see the Snowstorm skin, or at least know what it is, by the end of the weekend, from one or the other. I'll say it that way.
Do you think that they'll announce a Christmas event style thing?
I think that...
Blood Raiders, the Sancha, the fucking... the one where you go and you get loot boxes and it lasts a month.
I would be very surprised if they didn't. Because right now is a very, very important time for EVE. Because there is a few 100,000 alpha clones asking what's next. Right? And so that answer needs to be given.
We've got them in, now we need to give them something to do.
Right. And so if there's a holiday event, if you can start teaching people that things are happening, if you can hint to people that's and especially if you can kind of link things together. So maybe what I imagine that they'll highlight is maybe the mining fleets and the new AI, and maybe what the next piece of that's going to be.
Can I just say that the capacitor on the Gnosis is terrible? I'm just mildly EFTing while we talk.
Fair enough.
I thought I'd bring it up.
The capacitor on this coercer is terrible too. But
Amarships and capacitor is a conversation. Is a topic worth a lengthy conversation.
Yeah, I think that there's way too many Amarships that simply don't work or struggle to work.
So it's like the capacitor hull bonus as well. Like lasers are kind of supposed to be this thing where they're really good, but they use a ton of cap. So ships that have a bonus to the capacitor use of guns, that makes that bonus good. But if that's true, then all the ships without that bonus have no cap forever.
But
Or-
I also don't believe that lasers have really maintained that it's really good, so that's why it costs
Well,
more.
exactly. So it means that the hull bonus is actually just kind of sucky.
Right. Yeah, now that the lockboxes are in the game, they hope that they'll be used for the event. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Like, we have so many pieces of the puzzle that we've kind of glimpsed at that they played with, like the Scope News Network, these lockboxes, you know, all these kind of systems that they have for better distribution of content. I would be interested to see if I would not be surprised if we got something clever for the Christmas event. It may not be here for this event, but maybe soon, you know, hopefully soon after. But I would be surprised if we didn't get at least some sort of Christmas event, because we had Operation Frostline last year. But anyway, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I would expect, like, we've had some hints that there's something going on in the scope ticker. So I expect either some blatant or some, like, more overt hints that something's going on.
We're definitely getting the Blood Raider capitals.
That's
Those
exactly.
were
Yeah, I was just about to say.
announced at Vegas.
I'm pretty sure if there's anything talked about, maybe Fozzie will showcase some more information about the cap.
Maybe we'll get like the hull bonuses or something.
Maybe we'll get a bloody Christmas. How about that? That'd be weird.
Omer's brood has come for blood. First the drops and then the flood.
All right. Did you just make that up, or did that come from somewhere?
I made it up, but not just now.
Oh, fair enough. Okay. I wish that CCP would design a tool so that anybody could develop the skins. Yeah, I'm sure everybody, including CCP, would wish that they could do that.
Go to KaldariPrimePonyClub.com or something.
Yes, Caldari Prime Pony Club allows you to do that, but I think they mean like in game. They wish that they could cut.
Jessica a thing, or was that the cinematic thing?
I think Jessica is the new Caldari thing. Caldari Prime Pony.
No, it was like this program.
Oh
that
yeah,
you
no,
used,
yeah.
To
that was what they used for Clear Skies 3, right? Is that what you're talking about?
What was Clear Skies 3?
What?
Is that the... I get confused. Is that the Hot Drop O'Clock series?
Yes, because they have the warp or the Sino Jammer, and so they take the wormhole, and they get attacked by sleepers, which is and the Jove and all that stuff, and they're dealing with the Jove tech, which is why they did it in. They had needed Jessica, the graphics engine, to do that shit, because you can't get Jove ships in the game just for funsies. And yeah, so that was Clear Skies 3. And then when they bring down the Sino Jammer, then it's Hot Drop O'Clock. Which I think tonight we'll probably do movie night. So I'll put on Clear Skies. No promise that I'll be able to be here the whole time, but I'll just make sure that it plays all the way through, and we'll have it on chat, and I'll tweet about it. So pay attention to your Twitter. We'll do a movie night of Clear Skies 1, 2, and 3 tonight, if at all possible.
I will be sleeping, but have a wonderful time.
Yes, it's a great show. Okay, so let's see. Where were we? I don't think we were anywhere. Let's talk.
I mean, I think we've mentioned 2 news things, one of which happened this week.
Well, that's right. We're really talking about like what's going on this weekend, right?
Yeah.
So we talked about 07. We talked about Eve Down Under. Those are the 2 huge events.
We're going through your list of Crossing Zebras articles that you thought were interesting.
Right, but I'm going to go because we've actually been through this an hour and a half. I'm going to make sure to mention, because I tweeted on Twitter. On Twitter. Is anything cool going on this weekend? And Chocolate Rain posted to talk about... Oh, okay. So she's saying that she thinks that RVB is doing a newbie frigate roam, but she also wanted me to bring up this as a topic that we're talking about, which is the open letter to Mr. Petrusson, which is... Or Pertus... I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's Hilmar.
Peterson? Oh, Hilmar Vega.
No, is it? Hold on.
What?
Who is this guy?
Link me the thingamadoodle.
I will. Any rate, long story short, the Japanese localization is horribly
Forgotten.
unloved, and it's
Oh,
becoming.
it's Peterson. It's Peter. It's the Viking name Peter with the word son on the end, because the way family works is if you have a son, it is your first name plus son, and if you have a daughter, it is your first name plus dottir.
Okay.
So, for example, there's an Eve player called Hilner Thorsteinsson. His father was Thorstein. It's something like that. I probably butchered his name, but like that's how naming works. So Hilmar's father's first name almost certainly was Peter.
I see. Okay. So, all right. So that is to Hilmar.
Yes.
Okay.
Mr.
So,
Head of CEO, wonderful ginger in the sky.
So the long and short of it is that the Japanese client needs support, and that Japanese players are finding themselves completely incapable of playing the game.
Yeah, like it was good until like 2 or 3 years ago when CCP kind of stopped putting, it seems, any, if at all, effort into doing it. So all the new modules that have come in since then, all the new shits that's come in since then, has been either not translated or translated really, really poorly.
Right. And so this is a really tricky situation because again, this kind of boils down to the fact that CCP just doesn't have the throughput that anybody would like, right? Like, you know, all these things do take resources, and you know, I
mean, I would personally ask CCP Antiquarian about this, because he lived in Japan, if I'm not mistaken, for at least like 2 or 3 years. He might be a good dev. I don't know his ability with the language, but given that he lived there for 2 or 3 years, I would assume he's at least conversational. He might be a good dev from the dev side to reach out in that aspect.
One of the interesting things that I think is, like I mentioned in the Reddit post about this, I was like, you know, I really support this, but really fundamentally, CCP just doesn't have the resources. And while I hope that, you know, the free-to-play gives them more resources, which allows them to do things like this, it's hard to say that they can do it right now.
I wonder if something like localization, ISD, might be a good avenue.
Well, and
to go through.
What's funny is that in that Reddit thread, I say, well, it's not really, you know, to those people that think, oh, well, why don't they do this trick to make it cheaper or free or whatever, or get fans to do it or whatever. It often isn't that simple, because those kinds of decisions, like localization, have all kinds of, you know, those are business level things, which have all kinds of legal things and financial commitment things and, you know, all sorts of stuff that we couldn't even fathom is going on. And of course, you know, people whose goals in the game is to run a good business, not necessarily to capture the Japanese market at this time, you know, like, so if their goals aren't there, then that, you know, isn't great. But what's nice is that the free-to-play actually kind of brings them more in line with those goals, because they want to cast their net as wide as they possibly can, potentially. So hopefully...
How many localizations do we have at the moment? Because they announced the French one.
Don't they only have like it's actually not much. It's like French.
There's Russian.
Yep, and
Japanese apparently.
Well, I don't think I don't think the Japanese or even the Spanish is officially supported, is it? Or like.
I don't think Spanish is one. I remember reading something about that a while ago. I think German is a thing. I think German's one of the ones that's done.
Wait, actually, that's a good idea. Let's go to the forums and look to see.
Forums. So there's what I assume is Russian, German, French, and Japanese.
Oh.
So according to the forums, the official ones are Russian, German, French, Japanese, and obviously English.
Yeah. And the Russian one is also apparently riddled with all kinds of just terrible, hilariously bad. Well, but that's the thing. Like, I think the Russians have more found it amusing, some of their translations, that people have opted to go. Although some of them find it very annoying. But the Japanese one,
that generally speaking, the the understanding of English in the community is probably at a higher level than in the Japanese community.
That's what the poster was making it sound like. I don't want to sound like I'm being or we're being racist or saying something about the Japanese culture versus the Russian culture. They said that they feel that probably CCP feels that they have a better grasp of English than the average does. And even the
if
post
you
itself
are
is very
if you are a Russian playing online video games, because you tend to be on European servers, Russian gamers, I'm not doing this as a brand term, but generally speaking, a lot of them will end up having conversational English through playing video games.
That's fair,
right?
Whereas
and
Japanese
for example,
have a much more infrastructure that allows them to stick within Japanese
they're on
circles.
Asian servers. So if anything, they might be conversational in Mandarin or Korean or whatever.
Right.
And like and this is one of the wonderful things I think that exists about online gaming is mixing cultures and learning about people. I think that, if you speak about my great grandparents, it's so easy for them to be more what you might consider casually racist. Like, casually racist grandparents is a meme, and it's easy because they've never met them. The only thing they've ever heard about foreigners is what's on the news, and we all know that the news is fucking garbage, especially when you're at war with these people, as our great grandparents were. Whereas now I've played spaceship games with fucking Russians, with Japanese people, with even crazy fucking Americans.
I know.
And like, I find it really hard to, like, as an entire nation, hate. I don't know, take Israelis for example, because I've played EVE with a bunch of Israeli dudes who are fucking cool. Like, one of my favorite stories, I can't remember if this was Dofus or in EVE, but like, there's this guy who's like, hang on a minute, an RPG just exploded in my street, need to go to the bunker, BRB. He fucking said BRB at the end of that statement. Like, what the living fuck, dude? Then I turned on the news, and it's like, yes, there's been long-range missiles launched over the Palestinian border going on at the moment. I'm like, holy fucking shit, dude!
Yeah, so now I don't remember how we got onto this topic.
No. This is both of us like tangents, and I will just blather on.
Yeah, you brought us to RPGs real fast. So no,
it was about the localization.
Yes, Japanese localization. So as if anybody, there's obviously needing to be a lot of support and love for localization. But as I said in the forum post, just being like, oh well, it's simple. The players should just do it. Like, that's obviously bogus. If there was a simple solution, they would have done it by now. But I will say,
it's not like a thing where it's like CCP have a legitimate reason that they're like, oh, we mustn't do Japanese localization because this. Like, obviously, it's something that if you, like, I bet if you asked Hilmar, he said, hey, would you like there to exist a whole shit ton more Japanese localization? There is no universe where you no, I think that's a bad idea.
That would be terrible. No,
like obviously it's something CCP are going to want as well. It's just, doing shit is hard a lot of the time for really dumb reasons, mostly.
Well, honestly, the biggest problem is I don't think people truly appreciate the amount of metric shit ton of text in this goddamn game. God. And that's one of the problems. Like, that's one of the things, the reason why the voice acting was such a big deal. For years, we couldn't get voice acting because the idea of localization was just a nightmare to CCP. So this isn't just like CCP not doing what they're supposed to be doing. This is like one of the biggest problem puzzles. The only thing I could think about is
voice acting in video games is insane. Like, if you think about like an animated movie, that's like 2 hours of voice acting, right?
Right.
And that's a whole bunch of work. Or like a cartoon. In video games, like, if you just think about like The Witcher or Grand Theft Auto, there is so much more dialogue. Like, you bring out a script for a modern movie and it's like that thick. You bring out a script for a modern video game and it's a fucking like huge, massive fuck off text. You don't even have it in one script because it's dumb to do that. Like, there's so much work to do.
Yeah, but they have managed to do it, and one of the big problems that they had to get over was localization. So So like as a company, voice acting was blocked because they didn't want to have to deal with the localization issue about it. And this actually affected a lot of lore too, because anytime anything happens in the game, everything that's written about it, you know, we like to make fun of the fact that, you know, some of the descriptions here and there are old or not up to date. That's because every single time anything gets changed, it has to get changed in every single language. And so the idea of like saying, okay, we're going to support this new language is actually a monumental task. So it's not insignificant, but it is something that we do need to keep, you know, in the forefront, and maybe continuing to peacefully suggest alternatives.
This is not something we should be up in arms about, but it's something, you know, hey CCP, we the community, the non-Japanese, would like it that the next thing you do that's asked for by us that you have time to put into, if you could give the Japanese guys some love, we're all about that at the moment.
Is there
the
there
Eve
anything...
community hive mind is going, this is what we want, this will make us happy.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know if it like, how big is the Japanese community, do you think?
No, I'm saying that because of that open letter, it's a thing that's on Reddit, and it's like it's a discussion that's ongoing at the moment.
Yes, they've asked for ongoing
ACCP,
support.
This is the issue the community cares about this week.
Mm-hmm. Yes, absolutely, and I think it is a good issue because, you know, as you pointed out, Eve functions in a really cool way to allow us to kind of mix cultures and you know, the idea of one world and this game together. You know, the more people that we can support, the better. And if they've already supported it in the past, then it'd be good if they could continue to. The only thing I can think of is if they made it so that you could, like, almost like a bug report, but say, hey, this is the text and this is what it should be, so that way there is a formal process to do so. That might be cool.
You still need someone on staff who spoke
the
language.
No, absolutely. And
sufficiently fluently to make those changes.
Yep. And, well, the other problem is that you would still need somebody to build that tool as well. So even that has a financial commitment.
I think it's CCP Tara who does a bunch of the French stuff. Like, there's a whole team of, like, 5 people or something that do it. But, like, I like the French... If you ask me for who is French at CCP, I'd have to go with CCP Tara. That's the extent of my knowledge.
Isn't she like the head of the French community? Like, she's the French community manager?
Quite possibly. Like, kind of in the same way that maybe Lilu is for the Russians community, I want to say.
That's what I think. I think you're correct.
I mean, I don't know if that's her official capacity, but I know that she is from that part of the world. I think I want to say she's Ukrainian, but she might be Russian. I shouldn't make any statements because they'll inevitably be wrong and insulting.
And now it's on the air and recorded.
Hey, I never made any. I said I think she may be. I'm covered.
So yeah, so basically,
or Falcon might turn up in my room in the middle of the night and murder me. One
so
of the two.
As we're kind of getting to a point where we're wrapping this up, let's just go ahead and summarize this last week. This last week was all about kind of incorporating the alphas. Last week was really watching the alphas kind of pour in, and this week was about kind of seeing where that will go. And the peak concurrent users have continued to stay pretty high. I know that one of the top posts...
We're doing like 45 to 50, right?
Yeah, so the top post was from Sunday, I think it was, where we hit 50K people for the first time in like 1,000 days, I guess. And like right now we're almost at... Oh, well, it just went down. But when we started the stream, or when I last looked, we were at 38K, and now we're at 34K. So the numbers are still staying really, really high. And there hasn't been much of a actual marketing push yet. But
yeah, no, that's when the real spike is gonna hit.
This week,
like,
we actually
these are all the people who already played Eve and wanted a few extra counts, people who used to play Eve and are kind of still aware of the community, and people who actually read, like, PC Gamer, who ran an article about it, which I do not think is the vast majority of people that you can reach with this.
No,
like, when marketing goes up,
if we start seeing like YouTube pre-rolls, or
Like
stuff
the
like
new
that.
ad campaign that's just starting that we were going to
Yes.
talk about, but we talked about yesterday, so I think it's fine.
Yeah. Well, I will say that there are a lot of videos to talk about. We'll if we want to, we can talk about. All right, I'll mention all of the videos that I was going to talk about, and then we can kind of breeze through them as a way of closing up the thing if you want. But there have been a lot of really good video content this week being made. Not only the Eve propaganda video, which is my Eve story, which I actually think is really, really good. And we might want to talk about why I think it's really, really good.
I like it as well, personally. I don't think it's the best Eve video ever made,
No.
but I would say it's good.
I would say that it's not the best Eve video ever made by any stretch of the imagination, but it does exactly what it needs to do. It is the correct advertisement for right now. That's what I would say it is.
In terms of style and intent, bang on. Execution, not 100%, but it is the correct type.
But that goes back to what I was saying before, which is that, if you require the absolute top grade production value, then what's going to happen is you just don't get something, right? Because they're not going to have the energy to do that.
With all the love to Asher Kagan in the world, if we see like a Lazarus Tellraven one, like even if it's exactly the same quality as content, because everyone loves Laz, it's immediately going to be received well because everyone has a positive connection to Laz.
Right.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like Asher, I'm not saying he's hated by the community by any stretch. He's just not as prolific a celebrity as you could potentially get.
Also,
right?
Like the story that he tells is a story that we have basically pathologically been conditioned to not have sympathy for, right? like Eve, you are trained to not feel bad for the guy who got his shit blown up because
you are supposed to laugh at him.
Yeah.
And convo him and troll him.
Yeah, we are the salt collectors, and so we have been trained to have a response to that story that I think that other people might not necessarily have, that haven't been part of Eve. I think a lot of people that haven't played Eve will have a much easier time, ironically, identifying with that story than some of the more veteran players, ironically enough.
Yeah.
So then, but there have been some other really good videos. I just want to mention 3 of them real quick, and then we can talk about...
There's a new Templeman N came back for a little bit, and he's like a figure that's been involved with a whole bunch of drama. I really like his passion for the game. Like, I don't know anything else about him, but that man fucking loves the game and is fucking happy when he's playing it, and I like that. It's a video of him and Bomber's Bar killing 2 Rorquals, and they use the panic module, so it's like a really good showcase of how the panic module works as well.
But they still kill him.
Oh, they totally kill it. Like, basically, the panic module activates, 5 minutes pass, they finish killing the Rorquals.
Excellent. So the 3 that I wanted to bring up was, there is a video by... it's called the New Player Free to Play Guide by Reload.
Hey
this
there,
guy,
everybody.
Wait, is in Z Kill Guide 2 guy?
No, not Reload.
Oh.
This guy has this really sultry Britishy voice to it. He's got I think he's got a really good voice, and he does some really good editing. So while I don't necessarily agree point for point every single thing that he says in the New Player Free to Play Guide, like he does refer to role playing as not really a thing in the game in a structured way, which isn't
everyone
true.
Role plays, but everyone is a role player,
right? But I mean, like, I understand where that misconception comes from, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
I think it's a very old view.
Yeah, but it's I don't fault him for that, but otherwise. Most of the rest of the video is really cool, and it's got really good production value, and I've been paying attention to him more, and he does some really cool stuff. So Reload, I will post a link in the stream. It's too long of a video for us to play at this moment, but it is really good stuff.
Did you see the Zach video, which is his goodbye video?
No, what happened? What's going on?
He's apparently quitting Eve because The TLDR from my skim through the video
I
is
see
that
it.
he's very pernickety about how he edits videos, and something to do with how the Eve in-game camera changed or something changed such that he can't make videos in the exact same way that he used to, and because video making was how he found his enjoyment in Eve, he no longer wants to play Eve.
And some people are going to probably come off and say that that's petty, and it may be, but honestly, one of the things that I've learned trying to become a content creator is that, first of all, being a content creator is fucking hard, okay? Like, it's easy to have an idea in your head of like, oh, this would be a really cool video, why doesn't somebody do that? Going through the process of taking that idea and turning it into a thing that isn't god-awful is...
And that's true for any project in Eve. Like, there are like 10 different things I want to do in my Eve career that I just like can't right now because it's a pain in the...
And I'm not even talking about just Eve, though. I'm just talking about in general. Like, I have learned in the last year a deep respect for like creative people, the people that just build things by their own, understanding and creativity and reason.
Their own force of will a lot of the time.
Yeah. So I mean, on the one hand, you could be. It sounds like, oh, I'm just mad because they changed the camera, boo hoo hoo. But at the other hand, like, if that was your groove, then that just means that doesn't exist anymore. And when it comes to creative efforts, it's not always a matter of harden the fuck up, right? Like, if you're, again, I like to compare things to real life professions or whatever. But if you're an artist and you're an acrylic painter, and suddenly acrylic is outlawed or you don't have access to it anymore, you don't just some people may become watercolor painters, but some people just might not be able to do it anymore because their medium is far enough different from where their creative effort is that it's just not valid anymore, and it sucks. But hopefully he'll get over it and find or he'll find a way to work with it and continue to be creative, because I think that creative efforts in Eve are very important. But speaking of creative efforts, we have Deopa, who is a very prolific content creator for Eve.
His stream is always on, and
Yes.
I think that it's like embedded in a whole bunch of websites.
Yes, that is correct. So specifically Dotland. If you go to Dotland, I think it automatically basically pulls up his stream, which gives him good numbers, which is good because that puts him towards the top, and he is a very knowledgeable. He's not a bad guy to be.
I can't say I've ever spent more than 10 minutes watching his stream, because like the one time I did, like, he was mining and not talking.
Oh, yeah, there is some of that. But his videos on YouTube are pretty good. So he made a video called It's Okay to Mine, and you see him playing with his new, or not his new, but his Orca. So he was mining with his Orca, which is cool because I've actually been thinking about mining in an Orca, and I've never really mined before, but I just recently got the skills up to mine in an Orca, thanks to some unallocated SP from fax training. Yeah, well, while I was injecting basically all of the remaining boosting skills that I had, I looked over at the mining foreman skills and I was like, you know what? Sure. So I just picked up Orca, and then I bought an Orca for my buddy. So I haven't gotten a chance to mine yet because I'm kind of still a little bit nervous about mining while in faction warfare.
It'll be fine. Just tell me what system it is and if it's in jump range of the Waffle Keep start. It's just...
Well, like, we have access to a high-sec system, but, being at war means that anybody within the Caldari state or the Amar could come in there and just kill me anyways. So, do you
generally find that there's a bit of cross-pollination between, like, Amar and Minmatar coming into your war zone and your guys going into their war zone? Or is it like everyone kind of keeps to their own?
I think it comes in waves. Right now, I honestly have no fucking clue what's going on in the Amar Minmatar war zone. From my understanding,
to my knowledge,
it's
just
dead.
all people making money, and then when the T changes, they switch sides to their alts and the other militia. Like, there is not a strong, like, formed militia group, apart from some very small pockets.
And there's actually kind of an interesting mechanical reason why the Amar Minmatar militia became the way it did, and the Galente Caldari militia became the way it did, which may be an interesting article to write. Basically,
Please write it. I really want to read it.
well, so the short of it is that the Amar Mimitar space is smaller, significantly smaller, as in number of systems, and so the act of flipping systems and the effort to keep higher tiers is lower. So it's easier for it to flip back and forth. It's kind of more gamey. Whereas with the Mimitar or with the Galente Caldari Warzone, there's over 100 systems involved in the Warzone. So while there have been kind of you go I go deals made in the past, it's too easy for a disruptive patriotic group to kind of be a thorn in the side of the other group to prevent that from happening, and the war is perpetuated. That's what I feel.
Right.
Any rate, so it's okay to mine. Apparently, he was highlighting the fact that these foreman-ships have been very successful, actually, in filling their role. Did
you see the screenshot of the goons like having like 40 odd Rorquals on grid, just like instantly sucking a belt dry?
Yeah, I didn't see that specific image, but I knew that kind of stuff was going to happen.
If you look at the statistics of pre-Rorqual changes, mining in nullsec kind of fairly uniform, but then Delve and Malpace, all the mining is happening there. All the mining.
So I kind of can't wait till Lockfox and Deopa and the other industry masters really chew through, because I wonder what's going on with minerals, because you've got this increase in consumption by the alphas, but also this increase of production by the additional power of the miners. But what's going to happen is you got to remember the alphas may their uptick, their rate of coming into the game may actually go up. And they don't.
And they're flying bigger ships that fly more minerals soon. They'll be getting into cruisers in like a week or two, right?
Well, technically, some of them can almost start out in cruisers. That 330,000 skill points. If you want to make a cruiser pilot, you can basically. I had a dude who was flying a Gnosis with straight out of the.
Because that only requires like Spaceship Command 1 or something.
Yeah,
right?
so all you're doing is training your medium weapon system, which you don't have to train small anymore in order to train medium. So basically, it's the same exact.
Wait, you don't have to get small to 3?
Right? Isn't that correct? Hold on, let me double check.
I thought you had to get the previous weapon system to 3, which admittedly is like nothing.
No,
in terms of training.
I thought like a year ago they changed that, or maybe even a couple of years ago.
No, a long time ago you had to get it to 5 in order to get the next one.
Medium energy turret required. Oh yeah, you're right. Small energy turret 3. So you do need it to 3, but 3 is nothing.
Or like you needed it to 4 or something.
Yeah, 3
is like what, a couple of hours even for an alpha.
3 may actually be like where alphas start at. I don't even remember.
Oh, that's a good point as well.
But either way, you can easily, with your 330,000. Oh, we got to follow Dragon D512. Thank you for the follow. Welcome to the team. Welcome to the stream. Thank you for joining me on this journey down the rabbit hole, which is EVE Online. So, oh shoot, and our time is getting worn out. So we're gonna finish up this topic and then be good to go. Actually, I'm just gonna skip over this. Another guy that I want to highlight, less because of this particular video and more just because of the fact that he's an awesome fucking dude. And so if you want to know more about EVE Online, he's somebody to follow. Johnny Pugh put out a video called How to Reconnect to Lost Drones. Now, Johnny Pugh does some really good like kind of reviews of various different things. He's been playing this game for a very long time. And the thing I respect about him is that he's a very down-to-earth guy. He's a very fatherly figure, right? So he doesn't swear, he doesn't, go off the handle or anything like that. He's been in this game long enough that he speaks from a certain amount of wisdom. And so this week in particular he brought up a guide, which is how to reconnect to lost drones. It's pretty good and you should check it out.
Cool.
So I'm going to do, to wrap this up, and instead of doing shout-outs, we're going to say, because this is going to be alpha-friendly kind of podcast, I want to say, what's your alpha tip? So every week, each of us are going to give, like, a single tip that we recommend to alphas, and this is the kind of thing that, like, we assume that you know almost nothing, only coming out of the tutorial that was given. So I'll go first, so that way you don't feel like you're being ambushed. My tip is directional scanner. The use of D scanner, which you can open up with Alt D by default, allows you to see what is not on grid with you. You can see things from a distance, which is a very, very, very powerful tool. It's what's going to keep you alive. You can visualize the cone if you open up this map. So if you can see, like right now it's 360 degrees, so my sphere is a bubble. But I can actually reduce this angle by moving this slider, and it'll change the cone of the D-scan. And if you notice, I can turn the cone by turning my camera. So the rule is that where your camera is pointing, that's where your D-scan is pointing. So there's two really, really common tools for this D-scan, and obviously there's going to be way more that we can teach about it, but this is just kind of the 16-second guide. There's two sliders. There's the range slider, and then there's the angle slider, and then there's actually the scan, and there's a hotkey. If you hold down V, that should run the hotkey. Now there's one trick, which is that if you hold the D-scan hotkey and you click on something in space, your camera will actually snap to that thing, and then it will D-scan. So that way you know you're D-scanning in that direction. So the way you do that is you put the range to basically maximum and bring the angle down to 5%. And then you can scan any celestial within 14.3 AU and get a reasonable feel for what's at that location. And that is a really powerful scouting tool, and you can actually filter this for PvP, so that way I only see things that are interesting to me. So I know that there's an orca probably in one of those asteroid belts, and I don't even have to, and there's a venture. I don't have to warp there to see that. And the other method that you can look at is you can put it to 360 degrees, which tells you everything that's within your area. And generally speaking, I divide it into 3 categories. Long is when you set it to maximum range, so that way you see everything within range, which is really good, especially in like low sec or null sec, where there's kind of less things going on. Not so good in high sec, or when there's a lot of clutter. And then there's medium, which I average out at about 5 AU. But my definition of medium is as large as you can while getting rid of as much clutter as you can. Right? Because the goal is that you want to know when something seems to be coming towards you, maybe. So that's your mid. And then your short is going to be 1 AU, or if you're in faction warfare, potentially 0.1 AU. And then that's like, if you see it there, it's party time. They're probably about to land on your grid. So using that technique, using directional scan, this is what's going to keep you alive. It's the primary intel tool of wormhole space. Especially as you leave high sec, this becomes even more powerful. And there's other more advanced tools too, like for instance, combat probers almost never actually combat probe somebody fully down. What you do is you de-scan somebody to figure out where you believe they are, and then you drop your probes exactly where you know they are already, so that way you can get your pinpoint and get onto them before they see that they're being probed. So there's a lot of, like, the de-scan cannot be overstated as being in the power of its tools. The one last thing I will say about it is that if you do get a D-scan and you're in a fleet, let's set up a bigger range. So like, let's say this is a D-scan of stuff. You can actually select it, do Control A, and then go to one of any kind of D-scan.
Have to go imminently, so I'm going to give my piece of advice and then run. But I'd love doing this show with you. I apologize for interrupting you and talking over you as much as I did.
Don't worry about
it. But I'm a terrible person. My advice for this first show is going to be more general than a specific technique, is don't let anyone tell you you are not experienced to try something yet. If they tell you you need this ship to do a thing, do it anyway, but bear that in mind. But if anyone tells you you should go on a few fleets before you FC, or you should play around in high sec a bit more before you try low sec, fuck that guy. Do the thing you want to do, and maybe learn why you shouldn't do it.
That's a good...
And some of the most fun in EVE is trying to do a thing you don't have the resources that conventional wisdom tells you need to do. Like fighting a group with a few fewer people than you really need, and just like really pushing the limits of what is like min-maxed to like the core of like, you need this many lodges to do this, you need this much this to do that, you have to play the game for this long to do this. Fuck it, do what makes you happy, go do a thing. Don't let anyone tell you that you are not ready for this thing yet. Just do it anyway and learn why you're not ready to do this thing.
EVE Online has kind of a problem where there's a lot of methods, or there's a lot of pieces of the game that people feel that they've solved, and so they feel like they have the answer for it. And yeah, that may be the optimal answer. Like, of course, why wouldn't you use a Machariel to do level 4s? Anything less than that is just inefficient. But
it is less than absolutely perfectly as efficient as it can be done.
But yeah, no, fuck those guys. I 100% agree with you. That's a great piece of advice.
I need to go pick up my girlfriend because I just realized the time.
Yep.
But it was awesome, and we should do more of these.
All right, so I'm going to close this out. On behalf of Apothne and myself, thank you so much for listening. If you've got any feedback for the show, obviously, it was kind of just a more informal thing, but I had a lot of fun. If you guys had a lot of fun, if you like it, go ahead and give me feedback either way, and we will try to make sure that this broadcast is exactly what you guys want. Our goal is to do this weekly, so that's where we're going with that. So I guess that about wraps it up. I've unfortunately got to go too. Yesterday my wife was so good to let me stream for 9.5 hours, so today is say thank you for letting me stream yesterday. And then I think I'm going to be getting more streaming going on this weekend. I still owe you guys 4 hours of Galente gameplay, which is good because I'm supposed to be leading some fleets anyways. But probably not today. We'll probably see more this weekend. And of course, if anything big is announced, either at EVE Down Under or 07 show, you know that I will be there first to tell you why it's so exciting and the history or what I feel is coming out of it. So to more tinfoil, to having good times, and to have a good weekend. It's been a great week for EVE, and let's keep it going. So in the meantime, have a good time, and I'll see you in space.